Welcome back to another video. So today I just wanted to talk about Anime Vanguards and currently what's happening with the game and why it lost pretty much 250,000 players within just I think around 2 weeks, which is absolutely insane for a game like this. So we're gonna take a look at it and talk about some stuff on why it happened and how they could prevent it in the next few updates. But by the way, if you guys enjoyed this video, then please don't forget to like and subscribe, because again, at 35,000 subscribers, we are going to be doing a bunch of Game Pass giveaways for Anime Vanguards, and also we're gonna be doing some giveaways on AnimeDefenders as well. If you are an Anime Defender player, all you have to do is like and subscribe and join our Discord down below, and also share this video with your friends. So without further ado, let's get this video started. So if you guys don't know already, if you check Anime Vanguard's player count and any tower defense game player count, honestly, right now, but mostly Vanguards, their player count went from basically 350,000 players to only 38,000 players. So basically how it happened was, after update it was around 300,000, then about a week after update it dropped down to 200, and after another week after update 0.5 it dropped down to around 150k. Then after that it continued dropping to around 30,000, which is where it is right now. It was around 100,000 before this, but apparently one of the causes of why the player count dropped so much is because they actually got rid of bots. So if you go take a look right here in sub announcements, as you guys may have noticed through a nosedive in CCU, I figured out a way to detect bots. We have performed ban waves on them. Now unfortunately our player count is a lot smaller, but at least we can guarantee that none of them are botted. We had a lot of bots, so it's not a surprise that we dropped from 100k to 50k players. The amount of real players is still the same. Also, macro shouldn't have been detected by this. We specifically targeted bot farms that had 40 to 50 accounts running at once. So from 100,000 players to 50,000 players, so they are basically saying right here that they lost around 50,000 people, or 50,000 players were purely bots in Anime Vanguards. Some smart asses think we shouldn't have banned bots because we're now not as popular. Keeping bots would have ruined the economy, made units and future trading of them useless, and made the game worse for free-to-play players. I have no idea why some people are trying to argue that keeping the bots would have been a good idea. They're looking out for us. So essentially this is actually very accurate, that getting rid of the bots does help the economy quite a lot. Now, not necessarily because bots, you can't even trade gems in this game, but you can trade accounts, which is essentially what these bots are for. So these bots, you farm, or other people farm on them using exploits and whatnot, and after farming on them they will sell these accounts online, which will be a problem because this can affect a lot of free-to-play players. But what they did was actually alright. However, I don't think that the drop in player count is mainly because of bots, okay? Like, to insinuate or even say that the drop of player counts is 100% because of bots is just absolutely wrong, because the player count was already dropping before this massive bot ban wave. So what exactly caused them, or what are the reasons on why this game basically dropped from like 300,000 to 50,000 or 30,000 players? At their peak, again, they had around 300k players. That was, I think, their peak player count, but now they only have 38,000. So let's just say that a very good assumption is 50,000 bots were removed, okay? So they still lost a bunch of players. They still lost like 200,000 players, something like that. And the answer to this is actually very simple. This is because they haven't had updates for a while. So I actually asked people on a poll once on what they thought was the biggest problem of Anime Vanguards, and I'm going to show that to you right now. I'm going to show you the results of that. So right here, what do you guys think is the biggest weakness of Anime Vanguards? So I asked 10,000 people responded to this, which means 10,000 votes. And then here are the problems right here. So 9% said bad communication with developers, and 84%, which is around 8,400 people, said takes too long to update. And mind you, my community isn't even the biggest community out there, and I had 10,000 people voting that the biggest problem is it takes too long to update. So there's also things like this. For example, devs aren't open. They lied multiple times to the community and aren't open. Devs said that the bots in their game are only around 1,200, so they just left it alone. And this latest scenario also proves this, because now we realize that that they do have more than 1,200 bots, they have around 50,000 bots. So apart from bad communication with developers, which they are thankfully already improving, the biggest thing that I wanted to focus on is it takes too long to update. So let's get the communication stuff out of the way, because they are already actively working on having better communication. They're now communicating these reasons more and more with us, even giving us sneak peeks and all these other stuff. So they are actively trying to communicate more with the community, right? They're already actively communicating more with us, so I don't think that's a big issue anymore. However, there is one big problem that is very apparent in their drop in player count, and that's the fact that it took them so long to update. So a lot of people out there always say that quality over quantity, but I'd like to argue that, and the numbers actually back up what I'm about to say. It's never about quality, or it's not all about quality. It's actually around 60-40. So 60-40 split, meaning 60% quantity and 40% quality. Even if you create the best update ever, if you take a month or two to deliver or release the next update, your player count will drop no matter how good your first update was, because that's just how it is for tower defense games. There's literally nothing to do in tower defense games apart from collect the units and keep on farming. So what if you've already got everything you need, which for most people, they finished the update 0.5 within like 2 hours or 2 days. So imagine having to wait basically another month in order for the next update to release. No matter how good your update is, if there's no consistent or it takes too long to release updates, your player count will always drop, especially if you're a tower defense game, because there's no PvP in Anime Vanguards. Okay, you're not out here PvPing people or exploring the map. You're only out here collecting units and defending towers. So once you've already got all the new units, got the best traits on them, there's literally nothing left to do. So in tower defense games, you have to understand that it's mostly about quantity and sometimes less about quality. Obviously, you still need to release an update with good quality, like for example, a very polished update. But releasing or taking too long to release updates will definitely hurt your player count, especially since there's other games out there, like for example, AnimeDefenders. The only reason they got or delayed their update was because they got hit by a hurricane, which affected them. So I'm assuming that AnimeDefenders is gonna take 2 weeks to update, and if Anime Vanguards is gonna stick to their 1 month update schedule, they're gonna get overshadowed, or they're going to be left behind, not necessarily in quality, in update count of all these other games like AnimeDefenders and Anime Last Stand, because again, the numbers does not lie to you. If Anime Vanguard's player count dropped from 250,000 to only 30,000 right now, and I'm gonna bet to you that it's not bots, it's mostly the real people that has quit the game because there's nothing left to do, because the waiting time is too long. Now, if this continues and they don't release consistent updates, or they take too long to update, I think a month is actually pretty long. Depending on how big your last update was, I think a month would actually be a little bit too long for most tower defense games, which is why most tower defense games update bi-weekly. I know AnimeDefenders had monthly updates, but the difference with AnimeDefenders and Anime Vanguards is AnimeDefenders was already out for I think around 2 years before they started doing monthly updates. They made sure that they had a lot of content before they started doing monthly updates. There's definitely 1,000 times or 100 times more content in Anime Adventures than there is in Anime Vanguards, which allowed the player base to have something to do even past the updates, because they had so much content already, right? Now for Anime Vanguards, it's not the same, because Anime Vanguards is a new game and there's nothing to do. So they have to be locking in the early portion of the game because there's not much to do. They have to make sure that they've released a lot of content before they can do monthly updates. Otherwise, these other tower defense games will definitely be overshadowing them, and the player count definitely shows that it's agreeing with my sentiment here, because again, the huge drop in player count is not because of bots, it's because there's nothing left to do in Anime Vanguards. So they have to lock in with the updates, because no matter how good they are, if they take way too long to be released, your player count is gonna drop, and it's not really gonna be good for you in the future. So that's basically my sentiment for Anime Vanguards. Hopefully they lock in on future updates, because it's a great game, but 2 months, or sorry, a month for an update, especially when there's not that much to do yet, is kind of bad. Okay, and I'll see you guys in the next one.